Hello and welcome to round 9, last but one of the GTTCC Season 7. So today is from Blue Moon Bay. Here we qualified first. I managed a time of 1 minute 10.933. That was only 0.066 of a second faster than Steve just behind me. So only just getting the pole. So right, crucial to get a good start here. Long straight. Tried a little bit of a different tactic here and really did make the best of it here. So as you can see, slow off the start there. Steve was already alongside me and already starting pulling, so he's evidently got a good start. Trying to tuck it in, but you can see this fast starting McGann, the APA in the McGann is actually bump drafting Steve all the way up there, so I couldn't jump in behind. So now I've gone from first all the way down to third. So looking to the inside, taking it cautious, taking a Lala curve there. Coming up to the second corner here, second real corner, APA goes defensive, so we look around the outside, just in the way there. So going up into this corner, the fastest line through this corner is a wide line, but it does open you up to being attacked just like that, and we managed to smuggle the car up the inside of APA there, and we're back up to second. Now this track is 20 laps, so it's 5 more than before. It was a track that I felt overly confident at, and it's going to be tricky to pass. It's going to be very tricky to pass, but we're going to see how we do. So trying to keep up with Steve just ahead and pull away from APA. Straight away there I saw they had quite a different line to what I'd been taking through this corner here, and it seemed to give him a good exit along this back straight, so it might be something that we have to start adopting. So trying to tuck into Steve's slipstream, seeing if we can use that to pull us along. We are starting to open up a gap up to APA, so hopefully that he'll back off there. So through this long banking corner here, we're looking towards the braking zone. So onto the brakes, down 2 gears, try and take as much curb as possible. Going up here, look to the inside, but didn't feel like I was close enough, so cut back in. Looks like we're getting on the power just about the same as Steve. Steve goes more defensive into this corner. We look to the outside, try and get a better exit, but Steve's car's just in the way there, so we can't get as good an exit as we were hoping for there. So through this section here, all race I was in between going up to 5th or staying in 4th through this corner, and here we just turn in way too early and smack into the wall there after drop down a gear, and we've just lost like over a second to Steve just there, which is really unfortunate. Seeming like what I wanted to try and do is stay close, keep the pressure on him and see if we could force him into a mistake. But coming out at the final corner, Steve is up the road by over 1 second. APA was close, but looks like he had a bit of a mare going into the final corner there, and that means that we've managed to break the toe, which is always great to see. So looking ahead, what we're doing is see what kind of lines Steve's taken, see what kind of speed he's got. Through qualifying, I felt like I was faster than Steve through the first sector, but he seemed to be better than me through the second and third sector. So trying to keep nice and tight through that hairpin. And again, this track is quite deceiving because right now it feels like we're very close, but that's because we're going so much slower than across the start-finish line. And as you can see, as the speed increases, we can see Steve starts to pull out more in the distance, and it looks like we haven't managed to close up much at all. Making a mistake there, and I actually ended up running wide and onto the grass and losing more time. Looking further back in the field here, got Wimpy fighting off the blue Rockstar BMW. Again, Wimpy back in the Tamiya paint, like half and half Tamiya paint. Looks absolutely cracking, I think. Donovan go around the outside, coming up into the final corner. Can he go around the outside there? Doesn't look like he can, so it looks like he's dropped back into the slipstream. Now that BMW is going to be fast down this straight, and it looks like he's right underneath the wing of that TT. Goes to the inside. Can he get the job done before the banking? So alongside each other, all the way down the start-finish straight. He's on the inside, taking the banking, and it looks like he has just managed to edge out Wimpy before the braking zone, which means he can complete that pass there. Although he does run a little bit wide, I don't know if that was lag or just got a spike of oversteer as well as it kicked up the dirt there. But that was just a good successful pass, good respectful driving from both drivers. That's what we like to see. And it looks like Wimpy isn't quite ready to try and attack back on the BMW. Can the BMW go forward and attack ahead? So this race is broken up by a couple of quick bits while we wait to find a bit more action. So what we'll do, we'll rejoin the action back with the BMW going into the first corner. Made a mistake there last lap, and it looks like he's made a lot bigger mistake this time around and runs very wide. Wimpy managed to go flying up the inside, but does go a bit too deep. So the BMW's managed to get him on the cutback, and it looks like Dre's now joining in on the action. Wimpy goes back down the inside, but leaves enough space for the BMW on the exit of the corner here. What must Dre be thinking? He's in that Nike car thinking, who should I pick? Who do I reckon is going to come off better in this battle here? Looks like Wimpy's got the inside line, manages to retake the position from the BMW, but the BMW goes back on the attack, looking to the outside, maybe to get a better exit onto this tiny little back straight. Wimpy actually bounces into the wall there, that's going to slow him back down. But Donovan back down the inside now, and Wimpy back down to 6th. All this time, Dre's got the best seats in the house. Now, onto start-finish line. It looks like Dre's right underneath Wimpy in the TT there, and it looks like Wimpy's got a bit of a slipstream from the M4 just ahead. And now they go 3 wide, coming into the banking into the first turn. And it looks like Wimpy's moved up. Can Dre find a way down the inside of the BMW as well? Looks like he's got his nose up there. And yes. So Dre's all the way through. Donovan's gone from 5th all the way down to 7th, so it's been a bad start finish straight there, but not much he could do. It was all down to the slipstream really there. Coming through the type hairpin, both TTs following each other's wheel tracks. Do we think that Dre can now take advantage and see if he can pass Wimpy, or do you reckon he is going to be stuck behind? Going through this fast left-hander that leads onto another fast right-hander and onto the back section of the track there. Looks like Dre's looking at Wimpy, but not quite there, as Donovan in the background scrapes along the wall there. He's going to lose a bit of time as Dre gone to the inside. He hasn't gone to the inside, but very close under braking there. And it looks like he's got a good exit as well. Right, so now we're back onto start-finish straight. We've got Dre, who's got the slipstream of Wimpy, and can Donovan catch the slipstream of both of them and try and take both of them like he was taking? Dre pulls to the inside. He's got good speed down here. Looks like he's alongside Wimpy, going into the fast turn, and it looks like the move is complete. Can Wimpy come back on the brakes? Not quite. It looks like Donovan just glances the wall on the turn in there. It looks like Dre's strategically gone from 7th all the way up to 5th, slowly picking off drivers, making his moves count, and it looks like Wimpy is now going to have to fend off the blue Rockstar BMW. So as you can see, we've changed up the paint job for these last 2 rounds, so we've gone to white and black rather than the black and gold that we had before. We'll rejoin the action further down with this 3-way battle. We can see Dre's starting to pull away and Wimpy's starting to fall back into the clutches of the BMW. BMW goes high, our TT goes low. Who's going to get the better line? It's going to have the inside, but he's going to be braking hard for this corner here. And it looks like Donovan's looking all over the rear of that TT. Goes to the inside of the hairpin there. Wimpy gives him space, can't cut in, but he's now going to have the inside line to this next hairpin, as long as he can keep it alongside, and he does. So the BMW's attack, he does another cutback on the TT there, and it looks like he's alongside it now. He's going to have the inside for the next corner if he can keep it up, but it looks like he just doesn't have enough straight line speed there and has to tuck back inside. And then Wimpy goes and throws it all away, throwing it into the bushes, into the wall, and letting the blue BMW back through. And it looks like in the background the Durex Huracan is really starting to catch him now, so he's going to come under pressure from the Lamborghini Huracan now as well. In fact, yeah, if we look in the background, it's now in the foreground. The Huracan has managed to take on Wimpy and pass him. So that one mistake in the chicane there lost him a place to the BMW and now to the Lamborghini. Can he come back? That Lamborghini is fast in a straight line, but that TT does have a nice slipstream going all the way down into the first real corner here. Huracan looking defensive. Wimpy not quite finding anything. Huracan glances the wall through the first corner, and it looks like Hurricane managed to take a slightly better line, even with that glancing below on the wall, and keep Wimpy at bay. So it's been a rough couple of laps for Wimpy. I think he started these last couple of laps 5th and now is down to 8th. But it's a long race, there's still plenty of laps to go. So if he can get his head down, maybe pick off a couple of people if they make mistakes. What we'll do now is, again, we'll fast forward a bit of the action. Here you can see I'm trying to stay with Steve. I'm making the odd mistake here or there. Then I'm getting some good laps, I'm catching him right up. And then a mistake here or there again, and I'm losing more time. So it's very much trying to minimise those mistakes, unfortunately. You can see I've got a bit of a penalty from running wide in one of the chicanes. And what we'll do now, we'll actually go over fastest lap. So this came in a clutch of laps where I was really getting the hammer down and really catching Steve. So across the start-finish line, we'll start a new lap. That was a fastest lap there of 1 minute 11.0, 140 up to 6th. Through this banking, we're going to try and take a nice natural line and then stay out wide and braking around the 100 marker there, that 100 metre board there, down 2 gears, nice and tight, use all the curb there, as long as we keep 2 wheels we're okay, and then brake just as we enter the curbing on the left there, down to 2nd, back on the power, and then we're going to go all the way to the right, brake later than we need to, and go in for a late apex, try and hold power, a little bit of power all the way through that corner, and then back on the power up through the gears, up to 3rd, up to 4th. Now again, as I mentioned before, this is a tricky one. I've gone to the 5th, back down to 4th, try and take as much curb as possible, wanted to get on the power a little bit earlier, and then we want to take a nice wide line here, a little bit of a lift to get the nose to bite in, and then flat out through that corner in 4th. Now coming into the final corner, going to come down, once we come down onto the normal track, down 1 gear, 4th, and once we can see the exit, we're back on the power. Back on the power all the way up to 5th, and then we're aiming for the line here, and it looks like that is a time of 1 minute 10.9. That's a good time. We do have an optimal of a 1 minute 10.7, so we can see there is time in there. We just need to cut down on having these silly mistakes. So again, we'll fast forward the action, see if we can find anything more happening throughout the pack, and see if we can catch up Steve. So, looking at the standings, so we've got Steve in 1st, myself in 2nd, a small gap between the 2. Then further back, just coming on to the start-finish straight, we've got APA in the Megane. Then we've got Marco, been very quiet race from him in the orange Audi TT. Further back, Donovan in the Rockstar BMW, doing well, made up the places there. Next we have 6th Dre in the Nike TT, and 7th the Durex Lamborghini, and 8th we still have Wimpy. It looks like he's fallen away from the Durex Lamborghini a little bit, and then following up we've got 9th, we've got Ricky in the Heineken STI. What we'll do now is, you can see here I'm starting to catch up, but as you can see I make a mistake like that, run off onto the grass, and the gap opens back up. So I think at some point I did manage to get this gap down to maybe a second and a half, but just making silly mistakes, losing time, and at this point here I know we're not going to catch him, especially with the penalty that we've got. So it's just a case of trying to keep it going, focus on getting to the end of the race and bagging some points. So we'll look at the final standings. So we have Steve coming home 1st, myself coming home 2nd, just trying to get rid of a bit of a penalty there. 3rd, great result for APA in the Megane there, had a good start, got alongside myself, was fighting with Steve, but it looks like it just needed a little bit more pace and consistency. We can see Ricky coming home to finish 9th with a bit of a handbrake turn. APA again backing off, maybe serving a bit of penalty, and that does close up the gap between him and Marco in the TT, who comes home in 4th. So 5th we've got Donovan, closely followed by Dre in the TT there, so only quite a small gap between those two. Donovan coming down to start finish straight, just to take the checker flag now. And then 6th we've got Dre in the TT, and then we'll look back, and the gap between the Hurricane and Wimpy looks like it's closed right up. There's only less than a second, and it looks like some of them were serving a penalty there. So it looks like, yeah, so the gap was only 0.2 of a second by the end of that race there between Wimpy and the Huracan. So end result, got a pole position, fastest lap, but only a second. It's not a bad result. It's not a great result, but it's enough that we needed. Next race is the final round at the Nürburgring. So if you want to see that, tune in, and that'll be on the channel soon.